As we speak, your favorite YouTubers that specialize in hair growth are all switching over to science. So I am going to give you the scientific explanation to why most women are experiencing the same forms of alopecia, traction alopecia, and many other problems. So if you want the inside scientific scoop, then swoop up in here, sit down, because we're getting into it. Get you something to drink. Before we get started, this video is made possible by people over there at the Coldest. So cute, they sent it over to me and it actually has my name on it. Send out with the YouTube symbol. Hello, how are you? There are 4 stages of hair growth. The very first phase is the anagen phase. And in the anagen phase, your hair grows a ½ an inch each month. That's approximately 6 inches each year. And the anagen phase lasts anywhere from 2 to 6 years. So at the end of your growth phase, when you do the math, you should have anywhere from 18 to 30 inches at the end of your anagen phase. But a lot of people's anagen phase is not as long as it's supposed to be, and we'll get to that in a second. But let's get to phase number 2. Before we get to phase number 2, it's important for you to know that 80 to 90% of your hair is in its anagen phase at any given time. The canogen phase. Now the canogen phase is the phase where your hair is basically dying off. This phase lasts for 10 days or about 2 weeks. And in this phase, your hair is actually detaching itself from the follicle. This is its resting stage where the stuff that needs to go is getting ready to go. This is the phase where the hair is detaching itself from the blood supply. This is a short transitional time that lasts anywhere from 10 to 14 days. So let's just go ahead and say about 2 weeks. Up next is our telogen phase. This phase is the shedding phase, and about 10% of your hair is going through the telogen phase at one time. There is a reason that only 10% of your hair is going through this phase at one time, because if all of your hair went through this at one time, you would be a bald head skittle diddle with no hair in the middle, or a bald head Humpty Dump with no hair in the front, or a bald head scallywag with no hair in the back. And I don't think you want to do that. So yeah, this resting period where the hair inside of the follicle is detaching itself from the blood supply lasts for approximately 6 months. One thing that you should know about the telogen phase is that stress can be directly related to making the hair stay in the telogen phase for longer periods of time, or making it go into that phase a lot earlier than it's supposed to. This is why most people that are going through stressful situations like the stuff that we're going through right now in this country,
not just the city, the world. They need security in the world, Craig. Shit.
It makes the telogen phase longer because the stress is directly affecting the way that the body is naturally moving through the growth cycle. And now at this point, the entire process starts all over again. This is the hair growth cycle. But see, this is the issue that we're facing with the hair growth cycle. Most of us are so freaked out anytime our hair begins to shed, but your hair shedding is a natural part of your hair growth cycle, and it's something that does need to happen. But not only does our hair need to shed, but the skin that is on our scalp needs to shed too. The fact that that cannot happen is the main reason that most Black women are experiencing alopecia, traction alopecia, different types of yeast infections in the scalp, and so many other conditions. If your hair is shedding a lot, that should be a signal that lets you know that your hair is in its estrogen phase, and that you have hair that is beginning to grow and that needs to be nurtured and that needs a whole bunch of attention. So this whole I'm only going to wash my hair once every couple of months, or I'm only going to wash my hair once every 6 weeks or once every 4 months is actually shortening the life cycle of your hair and its growth phases. So let's talk about that, because I can prove it to you. The very first thing that we need to address is the objective. Our main objective has been length and not scalp health, and that needs to change, and I'm going to tell you why. And do you know what cell turnover is? And do you have any idea how important that is to your hair growth cycle? Well, let's talk about it. Cell turnover is the process in which our skin produces new skin cells and is a major factor in how the skin looks and feels. Your cells shed and rejuvenate over time. So just to let you know, your skin cells rejuvenate over time, and on the human scalp it takes the cells about 1 full month, 30 days, to complete a full cell turnover cycle. So please hear me when I say this, and fact check me on the Google if you need to. Whenever you're packing your hair follicles full of oils and butters, what you're actually doing is forcing the cells in your scalp to rejuvenate too fast, and your body has a very hard time keeping up. So what it does in return is clogs the pores in an effort to slow down the regeneration process. Instead of you actually helping your hair and nourishing it like you think you are actually slowing down your anagen phase, which is the phase where your hair grows. Most women with a naturally curly hair believe that they have to pack their hair and pack their scalp full of heavy butters and heavy oils, and like I said, in return, this blocks the follicle. And if the follicle is blocked, and if there's a layer of butter and things of that nature on top of the scalp, then your body cannot do what it's supposed to do naturally. There is no way that you can have a healthy cell turnover if your scalp is packed full of different oils and butters that suffocate the hair follicle. I would like you to know that your body produces its own oil, and that oil is called sebum. Whenever you clog the follicle, that sebum doesn't go anywhere. It actually stays within the follicle, and sebum is so powerful that it becomes a breeding ground for bacteria and yeast. Most people with the naturally straight hair get lice and things of that nature because a little lice mama that is with a child is attracted to sebum because of all of its nutritional benefits, and it ends up laying its eggs on top of hair that is coated in semen, in sebum. It ends up laying its eggs on hair that is coated in sebum. So please understand, there is no difference from bacteria being attracted to the sebum that is on the hair shaft and bacteria being attracted to the sebum that is within the hair follicle. And after this bacteria lives within the follicle for so long, it begins to eat at the hair follicle, and sooner than later the follicle begins to die and it begins to cease to exist, and it stops producing hair in any way, shape, or form. This leads to alopecia, many different forms of alopecia, because contrary to popular opinion, there's more than two. They are directly related to clogged pores and clogged follicles, and that is something that we do to ourselves. Your different phases of hair growth are controlled by signals that your body is sending to the scalp. So if you're doing everything you're supposed to do, the signal that your body is sending to the hair bulb that is responsible for producing hair growth is sending a signal saying,
hey girl, everything going good, girl, grow some hair, girl, okay, yes.
But if you're doing things wrong, and if you're suffocating the follicle, and if the follicle is full of bacteria, it's sending a different signal. But this signal is,
hey girl, fall out, girl. She ain't talking about no, we don't need to grow over here, girl. Fall out, girl. Give up on life, girl. We don't care, girl. She don't care, girl.
But all jokes aside, this signal to the brain actually lets your hair follicles know to go into the canogen phase, which is the phase of the growth cycle where the hair begins to die. So in this case, you end up shortening your growth phase and prolonging the phase where your hair actually dies. So instead of you seeing more hair growth, you're actually seeing more hair fall because you are clogging the follicle, shortening your growth cycle, and also shortening your cell turnover. That is the reality of it. of it. That is the science of hair. That is why heavy butters and heavy oils do not go on the scalp. This is why going 3-4 months without washing your hair is not acceptable. So many YouTubers have passed around so much information. I'm a YouTuber too. What I am encouraging everyone to do is go within and do their own research so you can figure out what works best for your hair, because all of these get rich quick little schemes for your hair, get long thick hair fast, it doesn't work. There is a growth cycle to your hair. You learn your porosity, you will be able to learn your hair, and by learning your hair you will become more familiar with your hair as it is in each growth cycle. And if you feel like you're in one cycle a little bit too long, then there are different things that you can do to change things around to make sure that you are in your anagen phase for as long as you possibly can. And the question that you probably have now is like, Sin, okay, how do I prolong my anagen phase? It is very, very simple. There are only 3 things that you need to be worried about as it pertains to hair growth. Number 1, making sure that the scalp is clean and clear with a free level of oxygen flow, making a clean environment for your hair and your scalp to breathe so that your follicle can do everything that is meant to do within your hair's growth phase. Number 2, once the hair has came out of the hair shaft, it is now your job to make sure that you are able to maintain those ends. So those heavy butters that you love, shea butter, all of that, they do not belong on the scalp. They belong on the hair shaft, and these are different oils and butters that you use. All of those thick ones, they don't go on the scalp because they slow down the hair growth phase, but they do go on the ends. They end up protecting the cuticle and they help you to retain length. Number 3, you need to keep up with your trims. Once the ends split, it's just like having splits in stockings. It's gonna keep splitting all the way up to the thigh until it reaches the follicle. And another thing that leads to a lot of baldness and a lot of different forms of alopecia is dead follicles. And people think that the only way your follicles can die is from you using, you know, too much heat or using a relaxer or getting color. Well, I will have you know that not getting a trim will kill your follicle, because if you're a person who has went, let's say you've went like 4 or 5 years without a trim, once the end starts to split, it never stops, and it will split all the way up to the follicle. And once it starts splitting, it doesn't just stop splitting because it's reached the follicle. It begins to split within the follicle, and then all of the bacteria and anything like that is a full free-for-all, and this leads to all of the baldness, alopecia, of the different hair problems that women are dealing with on a regular basis. It all stems from not having a proper hair routine throughout the growth cycle of your hair. There are 4 phases in the growth cycle of your hair. If you do not get a routine to link in with the growth cycle of your hair will not reach its fullest potential, and there's no way around that. So if you guys want a really good routine, or if you're just really confused on what to do, you just don't know what to do, you have no idea where to start, you can book a one-on-one with me and we can do a video chat, and I'll look at your hair. I'll be able to tell you which phase you're in and what you can do to change things around, or download one of my ebooks and, you know, get to the root of all things there. And before you get started with your decision making, make sure you download this ebook right here. It is free 99, and it will teach you how to find your own porosity, and it will also explain to you what porosity is in grave detail. I really hope this helped. This is just one of many videos coming, but we need to get into how your hair actually grows, and this is it. This is how your hair grows, and this is how you are getting in the way of the natural growth cycle of your hair. And if you want the growth cycle to be longer, if you want the growth phase to be longer, if you want your hair to be longer, you must extend the growth phase of your hair, and you must make sure that your hair and your scalp has the best environment to reach its fullest potential throughout the anagen phase of your hair, okay? I love you so much. Make sure you leave me some comments below and let me know what you think about this video. And until next time, girl, bye, girl. Stop putting all that stuff in your hair. You not an apple, you not a taco. Stop putting all that guacamole and stuff in your hair. You not a burrito either, okay? You not an egg sandwich with the mayonnaise and stuff. You not potato salad. Stop putting potato salad in your hair.